Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
When the holidays start to feel a bit repetitive, reach for a Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry and put your twist on tradition. A bold cranberry and winter spice flavor fusion, Sprite Winter Spiced Cranberry is a refreshing way to shake things up this sipping season. And only for a limited time. Sprite. Obey your thirst.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Is that timeless music or what, folks? That is, of course, this is Steve Moore, by the way, and that is the More Money theme song. That's John Lennon bellowing it out with the Beatles. And boy, they just don't make music. I'm sorry, they do not make music like that anymore. And it's hard to believe that was over 60 years ago that song came out. Still sounds as good today as it did then. We're going to sprinkle a little Christmas music in over the next 2 hours on the More Money Show. First of all, thank you so much for our loyal listeners who have been with us now for, I think this is our 4th or 5th year on the More Money Show. We are now syndicated all over the country. And so if you're a new listener, thank you. We try to make the economy and finance fun. We talk a lot about politics. We try to get the best guests possible. And the best guests that we have on the show, and I'm not just blowing smoke at you, the best guests are the listeners who listen and call in and have amazing information. So for those who have called in throughout the year, thank you. We'll be taking your calls later in the show. So I love to hear your opinion on things because there is a lot of wisdom out there. And you wouldn't, if you're dumb people, you wouldn't be listening to the show. Let's leave it at that. We're going to have a lot of fun today. We're going to talk to some of the top people in the economy and business. Bob Nardelli, who is just an icon in business. You know Bob Nardelli. He was number 2 for Jack Welch at General Electric for many years. I mean, can you imagine a better mentor than Jack Welch? And then he led Chrysler, and then he was the CEO of Home Depot. We're going to talk to him about what's going on with the economy, what's going on with the consumer, and then we're going to talk about healthcare and what's going on with this big debate in Washington. And well, hopefully the Republicans won't cave in to massive new government subsidies that we cannot afford. So a lot to talk about. And let me start by talking about what's going on with prices. You all saw the amazing report that we got. I think it came out Thursday morning on the Consumer Price Index. And when that report came out, I was on Fox News with Maria Bartiromo, in preparation for the report. And then she announced it at 8:30, when it was released on Thursday morning. And literally on the air, I mean, my jaw just dropped because the number was so good. And I love all these expert economists. The expert economists believe such and such is going to happen. And they're always wrong. But they could not have been more wrong here. They were saying, 3.1 or 3.2% inflation. No, it was down to 2.7%. And the amazing thing about this report was the last couple of months, have been really good. So the trend is down. Okay. The trend is heading down to 2%, which is the Fed target. That's what we want. We want prices to rise at a very small gradual rate to keep up with the pace of the economy, because we don't want falling prices. I know a lot of people think, we should have falling prices. That would be terrible. Falling prices happen when you're in a recession or a depression. And in the 1930s, prices fell and the economy just shrank. So we don't want that. We want the dollar to be strong and stable, and we want the dollar to buy tomorrow as much as it bought today, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, the number came in at a pace that is very, very bullish for the U.S. economy and for the stock market and for another Fed rate cut. And so that was a really strong piece of good news. I said this last week. I will say it again. I think that all of this talk about affordability is overrated. I think it's exaggerated. Now, look, I know Americans, consumers are upset about the price of certain things, and I'm going to get into this about what's rising and what's falling in price because it's an interesting story here. But I've got to tell you, it is simply a fact that for most Americans, not all Americans, but for most Americans, their incomes are rising faster than the rate of inflation. And that means that for most, not all, most Americans have more affordability. Now, by the way, if you want to push back on me on this, I'll be taking calls later in the show, and I respect your opinion. And I know, by the way, I'm going to go over what's rising in price in a minute. But let me first, go through the things that are falling in price, because there's a psychological factor here where people tend to see the things that are going up in price and they complain about those, but they don't talk about the things that are falling in price. And so here are the things that are falling in price over the last year. Number one on the list, the thing that has fallen the most in price over the last year is cell phones. Cell phones, something we all use. Obviously, every one of you, I'm sure, with a few exceptions, has a cell phone. It's like becoming an appendage to our body right now, right? We couldn't survive without our cell phones. Those have fallen in price by 9%. And by the way, that doesn't even account for the fact that the cell phone today is so far superior to the cell phone 5 or 10 or 15 years ago. We were, my wife and I the other night were watching a show that was probably made about 15 years ago. It was on one of these Netflix shows that they were rerunning, and they showed the old cell phones, and those were the big thing back then, but those had not any of the capacities that the current cell phones have. And so when you look at the price of a cell phone falling, it's also a superior product to what it was, 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. And 25 years ago, very few people even had cell phones. So that shows you how life on Earth is getting better. So cell phones, number one. The next thing that fell in price the most was TVs. Televisions. We all have we have 3 or 4 televisions now. When I was a kid, we had one black and white TV and it had a fuzzy picture, and there were only 3 or 4 channels. Now we have in our house 4 TVs, and they're all beautiful pictures. We have 100 channels to choose from. It's amazing how television has changed so amazingly. Well, guess what? The price of a television has fallen 7% this year. The next one, I get a kick out of this one: pork chops. Pork chops. I don't know, Zach, do you eat pork chops or?
Not my favorite.
Not so much. I don't like look, I like pork chops sometime, but they're falling in price. So yeah, steaks are rising in price, but pork chops are falling in price. So all you hear about is the steaks rising in price, not the, by the way, I'm sorry. Excuse me. I misspoke, folks. So I left out the thing that is falling in price the most over the last year. And I'll bet some of you probably guessed what this is. It is a food item. And do you want to guess what it is, Zach?
Pork chops?
Not pork chops. They are the third they are third on the list. The number one on the list is eggs. Egg prices, and yeah, remember, egg prices went through the roof under Biden, and they've come down by 13%. And then let me just kind of finish the list quickly. Oranges down 5%. What do we got here? Like cutlery has fallen 6%. Hotels. If you're going to be going anywhere over the Christmas vacation or the New Year holiday, hotels are 6% cheaper than they were a year ago on average. Vegetables. Are you eating your vegetables these days? We're trying to. I hope you're all eating your veggies. They're down 4%. Butter is down by, butter is down by 4%. And I'm trying to read my own. Computer software down 5%. And this is another really interesting one. It is the, airfare. is down 5%. So these are all good news stories. I'm going to talk to you later in the show about things that are going up in price. But in the meantime, we're going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we will be listening to our great friend and a regular on the show, Bob Nardelli, who's going to tell you exactly what I have, that this is an economy that is healthy and is ready to explode. This, folks, is the More Money Show. This is the Saturday before Christmas. What a wonderful time of the year.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Take my word for it. I live there. Come to Florida. Get pre-approved right now with my guy Michael Kotze. Call him at 561-441-2730. He's got Choice Mortgage and a great real estate team. Get pre-approved right now. Michael Kotze, 561-441-2730. Buy in Florida right now. Don't wait. Save money on state taxes. Make your move today with Choice Mortgage. Trust me, Florida is waiting. This guy's so good, he did my commercials in Florida too. Mike Kotze, 561-441-2730. A ride.
Are you a forward thinker? Then you need an HR and finance platform that thinks like you do. Workday is the AI platform that helps propel your organization, your workforce, and your industry into the future. Workday, moving business forever forward.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
And I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful Christmas season. So my next guest, as I mentioned earlier, is his guy's become a good personal friend and a mentor of mine. He is an icon in business. His name, of course, is Bob Nardelli. You all know Bob. He's been a regular on my show, but most importantly, Bob served as the number 2 guy at General Electric, and was amazing there. And then, of course, was with Chrysler as the CEO there. And then most importantly, with Home Depot. And that was an amazing run you had there too, Bob, running these incredible companies. So Merry Christmas. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, Steve, Merry Christmas to you and to all your listeners out there. It's always a treat and an opportunity for me to be on the air with you, Steve.
Boy, do we have a lot to talk about, Bob, and I'm so glad that you're carving a little time out of that. This is the weekend before Christmas, so it's a very frantic time for everyone. I want to get right down to it, Bob, and talk to you about the consumer, about consumer prices, about affordability, because there's nobody who knows more about this than you do. So I have to say I'm somewhat flummoxed, Bob, about the fact that so many of the statistics are showing that people's incomes are up. Yeah, prices are up for some things, no question about it, but we're seeing inflation falling. We're seeing incomes rising. We're seeing people's 401k plans that have more money in them. And yet people, according to the polls, are kind of in a grumpy mood. And I don't quite understand it. I wonder if you have any thoughts about this.
Well, first of all, let me say that you nailed it the other day. I know the estimate for inflation, the CPI, was about 3%, 3.0.
Yeah.
You were on with Maria and called 2.8, and sure enough, it came in at 2.7. So
even I was right.
You're still the economic genius out there, Steve.
By the way, John, Bob, that's a great number, right? I mean, a big improvement.
Yes. Yeah. Year over year, right? 2.7 is a big improvement. And then, of course, core came in at 2.6, a tenth better. And that's what excludes the food and energy. And I think that may be part of what you're referencing, Steve, is that the consumer, and I think the number you and I talked about is anybody at 150 or lower is probably feeling the pinch on food and energy. Now, President Trump and this administration is doing a phenomenal job, just as you've outlined. I think what's happening is the people at the entry level are probably feeling a little bit more pinched than
right.
3/4 above them. So, but this is going to get better. I think it's going to get much, much better, as you say. And, you heard the announcement on medication and drugs the other day from the Oval Office. I think he's just going at this saying, a madman, thank God, to get all these things down. I hope he goes after, the insurance program. I hope he goes after home insurance, property. I mean, there's just a plethora of things that are really choking the average consumer today, Steve, that we got to keep working on. Affordability,
so Bob,
is the buzzword right now.
Yeah. So, do you you served as the amazing CEO at Home Depot for many years. Do you still follow kind of what's going on at Home Depot in terms of, with their sales and so on? Because they're one of the 4 or 5 biggest retail companies in the country. I'm wondering, because people are spending money. That's the thing. People are spending, and yet they say they can't afford anything. So how are things that the retailers are telling us that people are buying things, and same thing with the online retailers? Yeah,
that's a great question, Steve. We hired Ted Decker in 2002, and he's the chairman and CEO today, and he and that team are doing a fabulous job of continuing to reposition Home Depot not only as the number one consumer location, but now the pro customer. He really owns the pro customer. So that's an interesting point. I think what happens in the cycles that I've seen is, when housing is booming, and it's not right now, right? I mean, lumber prices are down. When we talk about employment, a lot of the laborers in the home construction business, carpenters, electricians, plumbers are down. So Ted has taken the number down slightly quarter over quarter, and that's really driven by same-store sales, the comp sales, as they call them. And so there is some adjustment there about, investing in your home for resale or appreciation. And maybe the environment now, we're kind of tilting a little bit, Steve, to if it's not broken, don't fix it, right? And conserving some of the home improvements that could be done and having to make trade-offs, particularly this time of the year with the holidays and gift giving and so forth. So the consumer has to prioritize like you and I do in any business we run. So I think that's a little bit of what's going on out there, Steve.
But consumers are spending money. I mean, I saw some of these statistics over the Black Friday weekend and just over the last couple of weeks. It looks like consumers are spending money.
Yeah, no question. I think the number you and I talked about was like $46 billion online between Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So there's no question people are out there spending. And the key to this is going to be, we got to see what happens at the turn of the clock here, January, February, whether they've loaded up on their credit cards and, extended themselves a little bit. I hope not.
I hope not, too.
I don't know. This is a really confusing time, and you and Art and Steve are really the experts on all this economy stuff.
So, Bob, we got to take a quick break. Can I hold you over for one more? Because we're just getting into it with Bob Nardelli. I hate to carve more time out of your weekend, but could you hold over?
Absolutely. I'd be happy to, Stephen.
We're going to take a quick break, folks. This is the More Money Show. I'm talking to the great guru of business and finance, Bob Nardelli, and we'll be right back.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Free. All you have to do is go to unleashprosperity.com, click on the hotline, and you will get a free economic newsletter every morning. And by the way, you can read it 5 or 6 minutes every morning. It's a quick update about what's going on in the economy, and we also add some humor as well. So, Bob, welcome back. Thank you so much for holding over. So you believe that the consumer is in pretty good shape right now, or, because there seems to be a disconnect between, what the official statistics are telling us, which is a strong economy that is growing, with higher incomes, and yet people tend to be, very, somber about things. And one of the things that people are worried about is housing. You know a lot about housing because you worked at Home Depot. Give us a sense of why it is, do you think, that housing prices have risen so much?
Yeah. Well, I think it's a couple of things, Steve, and some of it is availability, number one.
Right.
It's
the supply, right? If you have less supply, the prices go up.
Exactly. So, but the other thing that you and I've talked about is availability. So, if you think about housing today and the
interest rates that many of us enjoy, these low mortgage rates and so forth. Right. And I'm not going to trade. I'm going to protect this 3-4%.
Right.
And why should I jump in? And that's point number one. And then a lot of
Wait, so hold on, Bob. Just hold on just one second. Because this is a really important point you're making here is that, people, when they had like 4% mortgage rates, 30-year, that's a pretty good loan, borrowing rate. And so people are kind of locked into their home because they don't want to give up that low interest rate. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. And that's why you and I were both encouraged the other day when we saw the Fed tick down another quarter point.
Yep.
I get the report again on, I think it's January 13th. Hopefully that'll be another strong influence. If things continue to move as you've been outlining here, maybe we'll get another tick down, another quarter point. So every time you do that, I think it certainly provides an incentive for maybe existing homeowners to trade either up or down.
Right.
It allows for inventory to become available, and therefore availability will help pricing to go down too. There won't be as much.
So hold on, Bob, because again, these are such important points, and I don't want to just gloss over them because they're very important. Yeah. It's not, you and I are maybe about the same age. I'm 65, and so do you know what I'm going to ask you a question, Bob. Do you know what the mortgage interest rate was when I graduated from college?
Boy, I don't know. You're a lot younger than.
No, I'm not so young. 16%. Do you remember that when we had 16% mortgages? And that was under Jimmy Carter.
When I moved to Cleveland, Ohio, with General Electric, I was fortunate to get 18%, and basically all I was doing, it was a variable rate, and all I was doing was paying the man. To be honest with you, Steve,
oh my God,
that's one house I couldn't wait to get out of.
So my point is, Bob, that you're right that people would like to see a lower mortgage rate, but in the historical context, when you're talking about 14, 13, 12% mortgage rates, now what's the mortgage rate? Maybe 6. It's still. They're high, but in the historical context, they're not so bad. The other thing, Bob, I think, and I'd like your reaction to this because I think you're onto something in terms of why there is not a more ample supply of housing, is that you have to pay capital gains tax when you sell real estate, and people have made huge gains in part because the value of the property has gone up, but also because inflation has been high for the last 20 years. And so when you sell something, you don't get to inflation adjust your, in other words, let's say you bought a house at $100,000 20 years ago, and now it's worth, say, $400,000. That $300,000 appreciation, maybe half of that is due to inflation, but you're paying a tax on inflationary gains. So one of the things that I've been suggesting to Trump is why don't we do a 1 or 2 year window where you pay no capital gains tax on real estate. And if you did that, I believe you would see a huge flurry of new housing on the market, which would bring down prices. What do you think about that?
Well, I think 2 or 3 things. And again, you're spot on. I was hoping no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on capital gains when you sell.
Yes. You and I think exactly alike.
That big, beautiful bill. We missed one more item there, I think, Steve, and that was that. And then, some states, I think like California, there's a house arrest tax where on top of the capital gain, depending on how you sell it, there's a percentage that goes to the state for unemployed and homeless. So again, depending on your state, be careful. Make sure you understand what the guidelines are. But I think that would be that's a wonderful midterm discussion for this administration, because it's a lot like inheritance tax or the death tax.
I hate those.
Yeah, I mean, you work your tail off, and then, unfortunately, people that farmers or what have you have to sell to pay the tax, and it basically loses the lineage of second, third generation family owners.
So I'd like to ask you another question, Bob, because you are a fountain of wisdom, especially when it comes to retail, because you were the CEO at Home Depot, what were you, about the fourth or fifth largest retailer in the country? And I always get asked this question over the years by my listeners, and I'd like your response to it and your answer to it. Is retail dead? I mean, are the Amazons of the world just going to take over consumer sales, or do you think people will still go to the mall? Will they still go to stores? What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting question, because if you look at Walmart, and Scott is just about ready to step down there, they've been very conscious about pricing. And basically they focus on staples, the necessary. Some of the other stores, and not to cast a negative against Target, for example, they're more focused on discretionary buy. So I think it goes back to what type of retail you're currently in, and is it kind of the fundamentals or the staples that people will have to have recurring spend on versus those discretionary things that they can, kind of window shop but then pass by based on prioritization. So it really is a potpourri of what type of retail you're in, I think, Steve. And Home Depot is a perfect example. Even though they're challenged a little bit, boy, they're still doing quite well when you consider retail sales. Yeah.
I'm sort of old fashioned, especially this time of the year. I like to go to the mall and, go into the shops and the stores, and, it's kind of no fun to just do it on your cell phone, but I understand it's a lot faster to do it on your cell phone as well. So I hope we're not seeing stores close down, because, it's just a part of the whole season where people can go out and see all the decorations and see all the people in their fancy dresses. And so I hope there's a solid future for retail in America.
You know better than most about what percent of GDP comes from small businesses, right? And so, yes. We have these events throughout the year to support the local business, the small business, and I hope we can continue to do that, because they need to earn a living just like some of these other big box retailers, Steve. So you make an excellent point there.
So finally, and we just have a couple minutes left with my friend Bob Nardelli, who has really been a mentor of mine in terms of business. Larry Kudlow and I both have been super bullish on the economy for next year. As these tax cuts kick in, people are going to see less money withheld from their paycheck thanks to the big, beautiful bill. What is your sort of prognostication about how things are going to go over the next year or two?
Yeah. Well, I can say I hope the impact of the one big beautiful bill that kicks in January 1 actually does have that trickle down effect to the consumer, and they could actually feel it, and then it will tend to negate the other side of the fence here, Steve, about affordability and so forth. They're making a big pitch about affordability. They really capitalized on that word. But you and I and this administration have been talking about affordability since the president took office. I know for a fact you and I have been talking about it, and we've been talking with the Secretary of Treasury about it early this year. So I believe that these things are going to have a positive impact, and I hope we can dispel some of this negative comments that are out there. Steve.
That's Bob Nardelli. You all know him, by the way, from Fox. Are you going to be on Fox at all this week? Every time I turn on the TV, there you are, Bob. So you got any shows coming up on Fox or Fox Business?
We do. I'll be on, I think I'll be on Tuesday evening with Elizabeth for a little bit. So the 23rd. Yeah. So thank you for that. And, Steve, I really appreciate the opportunity to be on with you and your listeners. And again, I'll just close out by wishing you, your family, your lovely wife, and all a blessed and peaceful holiday season.
Well, right back to you, my friend. That's Bob Nardelli, the super CEO, and really appreciate him taking time out of his busy afternoon to be on. Folks, this is the More Money Show, and we will be right back.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The who's down in Who Newville were making their list, but some didn't know Walmart has the best brands for their gifts.
What about toys? Do they have brands kids have been wanting all year?
Yep, Barbie, Tony's, and Lego. Gifts that will make them all cheer.
Do you mean they have all the brands I adore?
They have Nintendo, Nespresso, Apple, and more.
What about...
So the Who answered questions from friends till they were blue. Each one listened and shouted, from Walmart? Who knew? Shop gifts from top brands for everyone on your list in the Walmart app.
Here's my 30-second story with Guinness. As soon as my sister and I get home for the holidays, we don't even unpack. We head straight to our pub. The bartender already knows our order, Guinness and fries. We laugh all night, catch up with old friends, and walk home with faces sore from smiling. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. That was my 30-second story with Guinness.
Guinness Draft Stout. Please enjoy responsibly. Imported by Diageo Beer Company, USA, New York, New York.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
I think, by the way, I'm going to look this up. I think that the most famous and most often played Christmas carol, and we've got our hot shot Zach Laba here in the studio with me, so he can look this up. I think it's White Christmas. I think Bing Crosby's White Christmas is number one on that list. But I don't know, maybe Last Christmas, or So This Is Christmas, maybe has taken its place as number one on that list. Hope you're having a great Christmas, pre-Christmas weekend. This is a time for hustle and bustle as we try to get all our last gifts under the Christmas tree, et cetera, et cetera. So it's always a fun weekend to be out and about. And I hope while you're out and about, you take, you continue to listen to the More Money Show. We are everywhere, by the way. We are all across the country. We are live, by the way. And, we go from San Diego to Los Angeles to Kansas City, St. Louis. We have listeners down in Georgia. We have them all the way up to Maine. So we are national, and I want to tell you all, I so much appreciate your tuning in every Saturday afternoon. It is one of my high privileges, and it's the best time of the week for me, is because I get the privilege of speaking in front of this microphone to you. We're on every Saturday afternoon, and by the way, I know affiliates pick it up at different times in the weekend, but we were live from 1 to 3 p.m. on Saturdays. So in our last minutes of the show for this hour, I earlier in the show I talked to you about. Oh, by the way, what did you find out about that, Zach? What's number one?
Would you believe it's Silent Night?
Silent Night is now number. Where is White Christmas on that list?
I am.
Okay, you look that up, and as soon as you get that for me, what about Grandma got run over by a reindeer? How about that one? Is that on the list?
Getting cracked to the top 30. But I do love Grandma Got Rid of It.
Yeah, okay. So I want to tell you folks, because this is a money show, and I want to get back to some serious business here. The things that are going up that went up in price this year, I wanted to go down that list with you. And I wonder, think about this. What do you think? We'll name that price. What do you think went up most in price? And you might write down that list of the things you think went up most. And I'm going to now read you that list. The thing that went up most in price in 2025 was coffee. Coffee went up by 18.8%, almost 20% increase in coffee. Number two on the list. You want to guess what number two on the list was, Zach?
Is it going to be some kind of fruit?
Beef. Yeah, fruit is on this list. Beef, anybody who goes to the grocery store and buys a steak or ground beef, you know how much those have gone up. 16% increase. Fish is number three at 12%. You're right. Some fruits have gone up quite a bit in price. They're up about 8%. Bananas, by the way, are up 7%. Let's see here. Candy's up 10%. Fuel oil is up 11%. By the way, fuel oil prices are going to go down next year. They're not going to go up. I guarantee that, because we so low price of oil and gas right now. Jewelry is up. What do you have here? Auto repair. Yeah, auto repair. We don't have enough mechanics in this country, so the price of auto repair has gone way up. Hospital services are up 7%. Gee, thanks a lot, Barack Obama, for passing the Affordable Care Act. Boy, that's really working so well. Thank you for cutting the cost of health care. Not. Flowers are up 6%. Let's see. Oh, video games. Do you play video games, Jack?
Not anymore.
I used to play video games. Thank God I don't, but my kids are playing them all the time. There's an addiction with video games. We got to get rid of those, in my opinion. Those are up 8%. So there it is. Now, what is my point of reading this list to you? It is because, as most of you know who are regular listeners of this show, I'm not a big fan of Donald Trump's tariffs. And I've served as an advisor to Trump. I go see him every now and then in the Oval Office. And every time I see him, there's Steve Moore. He's a great economist, but he doesn't like my tariffs. I always say, no, Mr. President, I'm not a big fan of tariffs because tariffs are taxes and they raise the cost of buying things. Although I do like his trade deals. I really do. I think what he's used tariffs as a strategic way to get other countries to play by the rules and give us a level playing field. So I like that about Trump a lot, and he's been incredibly successful. There's nobody who's a better negotiator than Donald J. Trump. But here's the reason I read you that list. Okay, I'm going to go down again. Beef up 16%, fish up 12%, bananas up 7%, coffee up 19%, jewelry up 8%, video games up 8%, flowers up 7%. What do those all have in common? Ding, 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 ding. Tariffs. These are the things that Trump has imposed tariffs on. Coffee and beef and fish and flowers and even video games we have tariffs on. And this goes to show that when you have a tariff on a certain item, its price goes up. Now, the overall inflation rate is more a function of how much money the Fed is pumping into the economy. But when you have tariffs, those things that you impose tariffs up will probably go up in price because some of the cost of those tariffs, will be passed on to the consumer. Some of them will be borne by the importing company, the company that makes it abroad, the foreign company, and some of it will be borne by the company that imports the stuff. But there's no question that tariffs do raise prices in the final analysis. Now, that's not to say that the policy is necessarily a failure, but this is just an important economic lesson that if you tax something, its price is going to go up and people will eventually buy less of it. That's why Trump puts the tariffs on. He wants people to buy less of the imported goods, and maybe to some extent that has worked. So, Mr. President, let's get more trade deals and let's lower those tariffs because, like at one point, the coffee tariffs were at one point 50%. So no surprise that the prices went up. Okay, folks, we will be back in just a few minutes for our second hour of the More Money Show. Hope you're having a wonderful, holly jolly Christmas.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hilton stay, oh Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh Hilton stay, a holiday you're saving.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. This season, enjoy spacious, comfortable rooms and friendly service when you book with Hilton instead. Hilton for the stay.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
This is such a fun weekend, isn't it? The weekend before Christmas, and I hope you're all having a wonderful holiday season. I'm looking, by the way, at the list that is of the top songs. And Zach, I think this is a list of the more modern songs, but I'm just looking at this list of the ones that are most played and most listened to. And I always thought that it was White Christmas. And that's not even really one of my favorite songs, but it's always been one of the iconic Christmas songs. But here are some of the other ones. And most of these are pretty recent songs. So one of them is All I Want for Christmas Is You.
And that, is a wonderful song. I love that song. And then Rockin' Around the Christmas Tree, of course, is a classic. That was, who did that? Brenda Lee, of course. And then we got Last Christmas, which we just played, earlier, and Jingle Bell Rock, a classic. Santa Tell Me, and then, the Christmas song, of course. We'll play the Christmas song, later in the show. And, let's see what it is. It's the most wonderful time of the year, and Let It Snow. It's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Those are all some of my favorites. So anyway, I hope you're all in the holiday spirit. A couple of things. We're going to have a great blockbuster second hour of the show. I will be taking your calls. We are live. We are in color. By the way, next week I will not be live. I will be pre-recording the show because it's the Saturday between Christmas and New Year's. So we will have a show next weekend, but we will be pre-recording. We've already recorded a number of really great interviews, so please tune in, but we will not be live. So we will not be taking callers, obviously, next week, but we are live today. We are in color. Not many shows on this weekend are live and in color. We are. And, so if you were to turn the channel on your radio station, I hope you do not do that on your radio, you would just get boring, canned shows. Why would you want to do that when you can be on with us live? And we will be taking your callers toward the end of the show. I want to hear what you have to say. Why is it that young people are so glum about the economy? They keep talking about how, things are so terrible. Woe is me. And I'm like, what are they talking about? This is the greatest time ever to be alive. And this is the greatest time to be alive. And this is the greatest country to be in. That's one of the themes of the More Money Show. But I don't understand why there's this kind of glum, feeling, especially among the young people. By the way, the young people are the crazy ones who voted for this idiot new mayor you've got there in New York, who believes that socialism and communism are the way to go. That's pretty dumb. You have to be pretty stupid to believe that communism and income redistribution is going to make New York City great again. Incidentally, it's sad to me. There are now 5 major cities, including Miami, including Minneapolis, including my home city of Chicago, and a couple of the big cities in California that have socialists as mayors. I mean, maybe they should go to Havana, Cuba, or maybe they should go to Caracas, Venezuela, or some of these other places, Buenos Aires, before Buenos Aires, Argentina, before Javier Milei came in, and see how they like it. See how they like it. In Venezuela, things got so bad under socialism, they were literally eating the animals in the zoo. That's how bad it got when you had a socialist. Yeah, you spread everything. Everybody has an equal amount under socialism. That's not much. In other words, everyone is equally poor. I guess that's the left's idea of fairness. Couple of things before I get to, we're going to have a discussion about healthcare. By the way, I'm sorry, I've just so much going on today. The 1-800-848-9222 is that More Money hotline, 1-800-848-9222. So we will be taking your calls. Don't call in yet. Call in about 10 or 15 minutes. We'll start taking your calls then. And by the way, the easiest way to remember that call-in number, 1-800-848-WABC. And if you're a new caller, I'd love to hear from you because we love to hear different voices. We're freedom of speech radio here at WABC. We want people with all different views. In fact, I love it when people come in and yell at me and they tell me that I'm wrong. And in fact, you'll like this, Zach. I just got an angry email from one of our loyal listeners, and I'm not going to mention his name. I don't want to embarrass. He said, I mentioned that one of my favorite Christmas songs was Last Christmas by George Michael. He says, that George Michael crap is not a Christmas song. It mentions Last Christmas. That is it. It doesn't have anything to do with Christmas. I don't know. I'm going to still count it as a Christmas song. And what were we talking about that? Oh, we were talking about favorite Christmas movies. And if you want to call in and tell us what your favorite Christmas movie, I'd like to hear that too. And many of the folks think that what was the movie we were just talking about, Zach? The one with, the terrorist movie, Die
Hard.
Die Hard, right. So do you guys consider Die Hard a Christmas, it's obviously around a Christmas season, and their Christmas trees. So people, when I say Die Hard is a
is a Christmas movie, people get really angry at me. They say, it's not a Christmas movie. I'm kind of old fashioned. I really, really love to watch, I really, really love to watch Miracle on 34th Street. It just tugs at my heartstrings when I watch that movie. And the other one I really love, by the way, is Love Actually. And Love Actually is a Christmas movie, and it's set in London, but that's a great one too. So we will be taking your calls later on in the hour. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to talk about the healthcare crisis in this country and why Republicans cannot cave in. They cannot cave in on this. We've got to make healthcare affordable again, and it's not through having more government involvement. Take a quick break. We'll be right back, folks. I hope you're in a wonderful holly jolly Christmas season. This is the More Money Show, and this is WABC.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
The McDonald's Snack Wrap is back. You brought it back. Ranch Snack Wrap. Spicy Snack Wrap. You broke the internet for a snack. Snack Wrap is back. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event is on now with awesome deals on their most popular models, including adventure-ready SUVs like the Hyundai Santa Fe and Santa Fe Hybrid. There's also the stylish Elantra, packed with the latest tech. Or go electric with the Ioniq 5 or Ioniq 6. Visit HyundaiUSA.com or call 562-314-4603 for more details.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Our next discussion is going to be with two healthcare experts, and we are going to ask them how we can make healthcare affordable again, because folks, the Affordable Care Act, aka Obamacare, did not make healthcare more affordable. It made it a lot more expensive, and it is bankrupting a lot of businesses and families. So we've got to find a way to provide the highest quality care with the lowest possible cost. That's what we want. And so I have two experts on healthcare, Joel White, who is just an amazing expert on healthcare, and my friend Phil Kerpen, who works with me at Unleash Prosperity. He also runs a group called American Commitment. And these guys have been working day by day by day on the healthcare issue. So gentlemen, thanks for joining. Joel, let's start with you. What our listeners want to hear is how we can make healthcare more affordable, but still get high quality of care. I don't think we're doing a very good job of that.
Well, thanks, Steve. I would agree with that. And the biggest reason is that we've completely decimated the free market.
Yeah.
What we've basically done is we've taken choice away from consumers. We've taken the money and given it to big companies instead of consumers. And then we made these policies very, very expensive and driven everyone to these very expensive policies. So
let me just interrupt you right. Hold on, just because this is a really important point you're making, Joel. And one of it's just, I remark on this all the time on the show, but I want to remark on it with you and get your reaction. You know, if you buy groceries, if you buy an airline ticket, if you go to a hotel, whatever you buy, you always ask, hey, what's this going to cost? But we don't do that in healthcare. I mean, it's the most amazing thing. We don't ask people what the hospitals, we don't ask the physicians, we don't ask the clinics, we don't have to ask the drug companies, what is this going to cost me? It's almost like we don't have a functional price system.
Well, we don't. It's almost the only market where almost no one who's delivering the good or the service and any consumer who's demanding or buying the good or service, no one in that transaction actually knows what the price is, and they very rarely know what the quality is until after the service or the good is delivered. This is just absolutely crazy, and what it means is that no one is price or cost sensitive, which means our costs and our prices are higher.
So, great point. And, I'm going to throw it over to Phil. You know, Phil, Kerpen, one of my, mentors, in terms of economics was the great Phil Graham, who was an economist, also a senator from Texas. And he used to say, Phil, that if we bought groceries the way we buy medical care, he said, I would eat steak and lobster and have champagne every night.
It's actually a little bit even worse than that, Steve, because you might not even have steak and lobster. You might be just you might just be paying through the nose for hamburger and whatever, because we also restrict supply dramatically, and we subsidize a lot on the demand side with healthcare. So we get a massive amount of tax dollars coming in and tax-advantaged employer dollars. It all goes into this bureaucratized system. And then in many parts of the country, there's so much regulation that you can't even open a new hospital, can't even open a new clinic. And so the supply is constrained. The subsidies are massive. You've got no functional price system. And so not only are we paying a lot more than we should, but in many instances, you don't even have much choice, and you may not even have very high quality because of the lack of choice. And so we have a highly dysfunctional system on both the demand and the supply side.
So a question for both of you. I'll start with you, Joel. So let's keep this very simple, because, the healthcare system is mind-numbingly complex, and that's part of the problem. What are some of the 2 or 3 simple things that we could do? Because obviously Obamacare was a total disaster. It drove up prices, and incidentally, the prices are going up, and by a lot of the indicators, the quality of care is actually not improved, and in some cases it may have actually fallen. So just keep this very simple because it's so complicated. What are 2 or 3 things we could do that would make the system work better and give us better health outcomes at a lower cost?
Yeah, I'll give you 3.
Yeah.
The first thing we need to do is we need to have prices up front. We need to know what we're buying and how much it costs. And if the price isn't available up front, we shouldn't pay.
Yes. Amen. I love that. Okay. Number 2.
So that's one.
What's number 2? Yep.
Number 2, we need to empower consumers and families and businesses. And what I mean by that is Obamacare said you can only buy the most expensive plan in the market, and you can only use a subsidy on that plan.
Right.
So there's plans available in every market that are cheaper than Obamacare that might work better for a family. Let's give people the money, not send it to companies, and then let's flex up the market and say you get to choose.
Yeah.
So that's number 2.
Yeah.
That creates a market. There's competition. Prices come down. Number 3 is what Phil talked about, and that is the premiums we use buy insurance that then pays for, or supposed to pay for, services and drugs. And we've restricted the supply. So dramatically increase the supply of doctors, nurses.
So hold on. Let me I don't completely understand. I mean, I understand that, if you reduce the supply, you're going to get higher prices. How are we reducing the supply?
Oh, we have certificate of need laws that basically say you can't open a new clinic because the monopoly in the area shuts down the zoning and the approval board.
That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. That would be telling Burger King, sorry, we've already got a McDonald's here. You can't have does that make any sense?
That's what happens in healthcare. And no, it doesn't make any sense because politicians and bureaucrats are running this show.
Oh my God. Okay. Those are making me angry. They're great ideas. It's just making me angry that the system doesn't work. Phil, I want to hear your 3 ideas, but also I want to ask you an additional question, which is, or make a point and then get your reaction to it. One of the problems is people pay for the healthcare in all sorts of different ways. So you've got a system where we pay for it as taxpayers because a lot of it is subsidized by the government. And then you have also employers pay the cost of the healthcare, but that means people get lower wages. So we act as if it's low cost, but we're really paying through the wazoo for healthcare.
Yeah, we're paying, and a lot of that is a consequence of the way the tax laws are set up, because if you don't use money that came from an employer or through an HSA or from the government, you're using after-tax dollars, and so you're actually spending even more. And so we've got a system that's very complex in that way. One of the things I really liked in the bill that the House passed right before they left for the end of the year is they expanded what they call choice arrangements, which is a system where if an employer wants to, instead of just offering a couple of health plans, they can offer you the money that they would have put in the health plan into an account that the employee can then use to buy whatever health care makes sense for them. And is
that a health saving account, or what is that?
That's called a choice arrangement, and Joel probably has more of the details on that. But the idea is basically like a reimbursement arrangement. You put the money in, and the employee can then choose the health plan that they want
from any option instead of just the ones that are on the employer system. So that type of arrangement could really benefit, in terms of maybe rationalizing a little bit the choices that people have. But, one of the ideas that I really want to see, and I think this is going to become even more important with the direct-to-consumer drug sales that the president just announced yesterday, is if you pay cash for drugs, or you pay cash for a doctor or anything else, it should count against your insurance deductible and out-of-pocket limit. And that way you're not locked into just their prices that they arranged if you can get a better price yourself.
And by the way, can I just stop you there? Because this is also something at the top of my list as well, Phil, and you're one of the people who educated me about this. But, if you were to go see, a doctor, and, my family, we have like a concierge doctor. We kind of operate out of the system because it's so mind-numbingly, and we just pay the doctor. Essentially, we just write him a check and we don't even deal with the insurance companies and so on. And by the way, because we do that, he charges us less because we don't have all these middlemen.
Chronic spontaneous urticaria, or chronic hives with no known cause. It's so unpredictable. It's like playing pinball. Itchy red bumps start on my arm, then my back, sometimes my legs. Hives come out of nowhere. And it comes and goes. But I just found out about a treatment option at treatmyhives.com. Take that, chronic hives. Learn more at treatmyhives.com.
Yeah, but under a lot of plans that doesn't count against your deductible and your out of pocket. It might. It varies widely by plan, but it should count for everyone. I think that would be a huge improvement.
Yeah.
Go ahead. First point, I would just say that the prices that the president announced yesterday are huge. Their price reductions are massive. The discounts that are going to be available to consumers through this cash pay channel, because you're going outside the insurance. And the thing that's really funny to me is all over X, there are videos of nurses calling up imaging facilities and saying, I've got a patient here. They've got insurance. How much is it to get an MRI? Oh, we don't know. Let's look that up. And, hour or two later, they say, it's $2,000. And then the nurse says, oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. This is actually an uninsured patient. They're going to pay cash. They say, oh, the price is $500.
Mm-hmm.
So you can actually get lower prices, lower costs if you pay cash. You don't use your insurance benefit. But to Phil's point, you need to make sure if you pay cash, that actually counts against your deductible and your out-of-pocket costs.
So the whole health insurance system is also corrupt. We've noted that the health insurance companies have made money hand over fist since the Obamacare subsidies came into play. And isn't it true, Phil, that the health insurance companies have been one of the main advocates on Capitol Hill, the biggest lobbyists for expanding all these government programs?
They want to keep the spigots open for sure, and if you look at their stocks, they've done very well. The shareholders have done extraordinarily well. These companies not only do they get the massive Obamacare subsidies, but these are the same companies that have the Medicare Advantage plans where they're upcoding everything and getting money from taxpayers that way. In many cases, they've got the Medicaid managed care contracts. And so we've got these enormous health insurance companies now that used to serve private markets. Now they get the vast majority of their revenue from government, and therefore they pour a huge amount of it back into lobbying as well. And I just want to add one thing on the MRI thing from the last question. One of the reasons that MRIs are, such a strangely structured market is doctors can't own MRI machines because Pete Stark put something in called the Stark laws that ban self-referrals. And so a doctor cannot have even a partial ownership in an MRI machine or else he can't refer patients to it. By the way, but the hospital systems, they never refer anyone out for anything. So we've got a lot of asymmetries in our regulations.
Yeah. So we just have a couple of minutes left. You guys are making great points. I'm talking to two of the great healthcare minds in the country in terms of how we pay for it and why it's so expensive. Joel White and my friend and colleague Phil Kerpen at Unleash Prosperity. So if the Republicans cave in on the Chucky Schumer demands on health care, and we just continue to expand these subsidies, I'll start with you, Phil, and then Joel. What's going to happen? It seems to me it's just going to be more of a worse system. Costs will continue to escalate. The quality of care will continue to decline.
Yeah, the worst thing they could do is the bill that Schumer wants, which is 3 more years of supersized Obamacare subsidies with literally zero reforms. And they don't do anything about, there's no income caps at the top and there's no minimum payment at the bottom. And
there's no fraud. And there's no fraud
anti-fraud of any kind. It's crazy. GAO put out this report about all these dead people, all these tens of thousands of Social Security numbers, have multiple people using them. They found one Social Security number has 71 people using it the same year for Obamacare.
Unbelievable.
And then the Democrats say, we're not going to change a thing. We don't need to fix anything. So I think it would just be an absolutely atrocious signal. Now, if you had some kind of compromise where they did a partial extension with some guardrails and we actually got some other reforms, I'd consider whether it's worth it. But this idea of just extending it and fixing nothing, I just find insane.
Joel?
I think if Republicans cave and they extend the subsidies and agree with the Democrats, we'll be one step closer to a government-run healthcare.
Yeah, of course. By the way, Joel, that's what they've always wanted, right? The left and a lot of the Democrats. Yeah, and so it's always yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
That's why they want to pour so much money in the system because it makes the system more dysfunctional.
Yes.
So in 3 years, 2 years, if we put more money into an expensive system, will we have a more expensive system or a less expensive system? It'll be more expensive. It'll be more dysfunctional. And the calls for, just let the government run it will be even greater. So Republicans need to fight this.
Got a minute and a half left. I just got my notice. Our premiums on our health insurance are going to go up, Phil, by 11 or 12%. That's like 4 times the inflation rate.
I think what we're seeing in healthcare is very similar to what we've seen in higher education. You've just got massive subsidies coming in from the demand side, and you've got very limited supply content. They're high barriers to entry, and so what happens? The price goes up.
Yeah, that's what's happened. That's a great way to end this conversation. The 2 industries that are bankrupting our families are higher ed, the colleges and universities that keep increasing their tuition rates the more we subsidize it. And that's exactly what's happened in healthcare. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Have a wonderful Christmas. It's been a good conversation. We'll be right back, folks. This is The More Money Show, and this is WABC.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
We're back, folks. This is the More Money Show. We're playing all your favorite Christmas classics on this weekend before Christmas. I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful Christmas season. I am, although, gosh, I'm so far behind. I think I'm going to have to spend the next couple days trying to catch up on my shopping, because, only 3 or 4 days left before Christmas. Okay. I wanted to bring on, I pleaded with her to come on my show, an old friend, Maria Salazar, who is, one of the smartest people on immigration. And she is a congresswoman from the great state of Florida. She represents, an area around Miami. I forget exactly what area you're in, Maria, but she and I have been talking for years about how to fix the immigration system. We both believe that immigrants are great assets to our country, especially and including, of course, the Hispanics who come in from all over South America and Cuba and so on. And I'm very worried about some of the Republican rhetoric about deporting people. It makes me uneasy, and it makes Maria uneasy too. So first of all, Maria, Merry Christmas, and thanks so much for coming on the show.
Listen, you are one of the smartest people in Washington. So
that's a low bar.
That I'm on your show. Hey, makes me a Saturday at 2:30 in the afternoon. I'm delighted to be with you. I really mean it. And we're good friends, and you helped me win with great ideas in 2020. So eternally grateful to you, Steve.
So so Maria, by the way, you're Hispanic yourself. Where's your family from?
I am a first-generation American, Cuban-American. My parents are political refugees. And so we know what socialism brings. We know what a wonderful system, what a wonderful system the United States, American exceptionality, the American way of life the American agenda means for humanity and for people like my parents and myself in one generation, made it from political refugees to a member of the United States Congress.
That's amazing. It's only in America. It's a great story.
Only here, yes.
So you have been a superstar. But, here's the thing, and from the time I first met you, we were talking a lot about immigration reform, and you're so smart on this issue. You're talking to people in the Latino community all the time because your district is heavily, well, what percentage of your district is people of Hispanic?
75%, 75%, wow. Yeah. And they are Cuban Americans and Venezuelan Americans and Central Americans and people that, just like I told you, they love the American way of life. And that's why I understand immigration so well. And that's why this is a 40-year problem. Internet did not exist when this problem was already happening. Mm-hmm. Since Ronald Reagan in 1986, we do not have an immigration reform that will fix the immigration system. Mm-hmm. And that is what I'm trying to bring to the table as a proud GOP. And the only guy who can definitely deal with this is Donald J. Trump. That's why I wrote this legislation, which, it's called the Dignity Act. The guys can fix it.
Yes. So let's go through this because it's very important. And Maria, I think I agree with almost everything in this bill. And incidentally, I think you and I would agree that Donald Trump has done an amazing job on securing our border, which is fantastic. And Tom Homan is a good friend of mine. He's done an amazing job and then also, I think you and I would also agree, and I think most of our listeners would agree, we need to get rid of the bad actors, the criminals, the people who are the drug runners and the gang members and the potential terrorists who could do our country harm. And I think Trump has done a great job on that. What makes me nervous, Maria, and I'd like your reaction to this, is I'm reading more and more and seeing on TV more and more of these deportations of people who are just working in the country. Maybe they come in illegally, but they are not criminals. They're working. They're paying taxes. And it seems to me there needs to be it cannot be amnesty. I think almost everybody is against amnesty, but a program where someone is doing the right thing. I mean, look, they came in illegally, so they can't have a road to citizenship. So you and I think we both are in agreement on this, and you have a great way of dealing with this problem because,
thank you.
Sorry to go on, Maria, but if it were not for Hispanic voters who turned toward Trump, we might be talking about President Kamala Harris today, but Hispanics, you were the one who told me this, Hispanics are not happy with the deportations.
No, they're not. And that's the very big problem. 55% of Hispanic males voted for President Trump for the first time in history, and we have lost them. We have lost them. And we do need that coalition in order to be able to keep winning elections. Right. Hey, listen, if you don't win elections, you don't change laws. If you don't change laws, you fall in the hands of the socialists, period.
So what do we do? What do we do?
Very big. We don't give them amnesty. We give them something called dignity. Dignity is the name of my legislation. Amnesty, what does that mean? Well, it means many things for many people. But I think that amnesty is basically give them path to citizenship and not have them pay for their crimes. Okay, so in my legislation called Dignity, Not Amnesty, we're going to give them a dignified life in the promised land, which is the United States. We're going to make them pay for their crimes, which is $7,000 in fine. 1% of their salary is going to be levied on them, so they have to give 1% to the Treasury. All right? The border is now, like you said, sealed. We need to codify that into law. And then what we do is that we seal the border and we concentrate, and then we bring those people who have been here for more than 5 years. I'm not talking about the Biden migrants. I'm talking about the historicals, the ones who have been here for more than 5 years.
More than 5 years,
Picking up the jalapeno peppers.
Yes.
In construction, hospitality, agricultural, slaughterhouses, dairy, greenhouses, everything that has labor intensive. That labor force is going to be secured for the barons of those different sectors, which compose 20% of the economy of this country. Construction, hospitality, and agricultural are 16, 17% of our economy. So we give them a secure labor force.
So hold on, Marie, just because this sounds very good to me, but don't go too fast. So would these folks then would they get a green card? Would they get a visa? How would it work?
They get the dignity card.
The dignity card, okay.
The dignity card, because among the Hispanics, and I know them very well, as you know, I am one of the founders of Univision, which is a Spanish network, the most important.
Yep.
And so I know what I'm talking about. And the people who are illegal or undocumented, who have been here for decades, they do not necessarily want to be United States citizens. They want to live a dignified life.
Right.
They want to stay and not be deported. Their American children could enjoy those privileges.
Now,
You let them stay. Let them stay.
This is good. I like where you're headed with this.
You.
So I'll just ask you a couple questions about it, if I may, Maria. Sure. So let's say you get somebody who came in illegally, they get the dignity card, but they commit a crime. Then could they be deported? In other words, I don't want people who are criminals in this country. Also, I don't want people to go on welfare either. If you want to come in and build a better life for yourself, but if you come in and you're on all the government programs, we can't afford that. We can't afford to provide free health care for everybody. Okay.
I give you dignity if you do not have a criminal record.
Right.
You get dignity status for 7 years if you do not have a criminal record, if you have been working, and then what does that give you? It gives you the right to stay and go home for Christmas.
Hold on, because I want to be clear on this. So you get the card, but let's say you were in the country for 7 years and you haven't committed a crime. But what if you do commit a felony? Then could we deport them?
You lose them. You lose your dignity status.
Okay, got it.
You cannot commit a crime, and you cannot vote, of course, and you cannot claim any federal programs, Medicare, Medicaid, food stamps, none.
I love this. Maria, it is so obvious that this is the solution to the problem. But incidentally, we have something like 11,000 Americans retiring every year, but we only have about 7,000 young people entering the workforce. So we're going to need these people.
Of course, Steve. By 2035, according to what I've heard in Congress, we're not going to have enough money to pay Social Security. Well, you have the Hispanics.
Yeah,
22% of the population. That's right. And they want to work, and they don't have any problems in paying into Social Security as long as they can pay for their crime of having come in illegally. It's impossible. We're not going to be able to deport 10 million people are in the country. Yeah. We're not going to be. And besides that, it's impossible to be happening what's happening right now. I'm sure you know, in Washington, D.C., some people, I have a friend who stayed in the hotel and they said, I cannot clean your room every day because we don't have people to change the sheets. What?
Maria, this is just a great, I haven't read the whole bill, but what you're describing to me is exactly the right solution. It's called the Dignity Act. We got to get this to Donald Trump. We've got to get it to the people at the various agencies. And even my friend Tom Homan, I've talked to him about it. He likes this program because then they go after the bad guys, not the good guys.
Steve, that's the problem. That Holman is a good man, and he's just following directives from the White House.
Well, he's doing what his boss is telling him.
Of course, and that's exactly what you need to do, that you need to do what your boss tells you. But then that's why I'm saying the only guy who can get this done is the guy who comes from hospitality and from agricultural, and from construction, Donald Trump.
Maria, we've got to take a 1-minute break. I would like to, with your permission, is hold you over, and I want to take some callers. I'm going to take some callers, and I want to ask. You can ask Maria about her legislation. This could be big for the country.
Question.
It's big for the Republican Party, and it makes a lot of sense, folks. This is the More Money Show. The More Money Hotline. We'll take your calls right after the break. Is 1-800-848-9222. But Mr. Producer, we're going to take only callers who want to talk about the Dignity Act. I want to hear what people have to say about it. This is the More Money Show. We'll be right back, folks.
The More Money Show with Steve Moore on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The More Money Show with Steve Moore. Entertaining and informative on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Maria Salazar, the congresswoman from Miami, to tell us more about this immigration system. By the way, Maria Carey, a great, great Hispanic American.
Yes. She sings
what
a lot
voice.
better than
What
I
a
do.
voice.
Yes.
So we're going to take some questions from Maria, from you all about her Dignity Act. I know people feel strongly one way or the other. I'm in favor of what she's talking about. I've been proposing something to Donald Trump very similar to what Maria is talking about. I called it pay to stay. In other words, if you haven't committed a crime, you have to pay a penalty because you're not going to be rewarded for coming in illegally. But Maria has a more comprehensive bill that I think makes so much sense, both economically and politically. Maria.
Yes, it's national security. This is not a political bill. This is not an immigration bill. This is a national security. This is an economic bill because national
and
security,
an economic bill, exactly.
Of course, it's an economic bill because there's no way that we're going to be able to grow as a country. And you are a top, brilliant economist. There's no way that we don't have hands to be able to grow. Understand that everyone cannot be a doctor and a scientist. You need every area of this economy. And you need people that Americans have decided not to participate in those jobs, which are like picking up the jalapenos or being in the slaughterhouses. But we need to have vegetables and fruits that are cheap.
Yep.
And it's simple.
It's true. And in fact, the Hispanics, by the way, these are amazing statistics, Maria, and I have to show this to you the next time we get together. But the Hispanic Americans, the median family income of Hispanic Americans today is $72,000. And most of these people came from poor countries, where, nobody gets anywhere near $72,000, that most of them are first or at most second generation. So they've only been in the country for maybe 15 or 20 years. They're making $72,000 a year because they're working their butts off. They have an incredible work ethic. They're doing a lot of their jobs. And incidentally, if I may, Maria, when they do these raids, because we've been doing these raids periodically for 25 years, go into factories and get rid of the illegal immigrants, go into the agricultural fields and so on. And everybody's, that'll free up these jobs. Guess what? They go back 6 months later and no Americans moved into the jobs. And so there's more, immigrants in these positions. So this idea that, we're going to free up all these jobs for Americans, I don't buy that.
Or we are going to, on the fields, we're going to create robots that are going to pick up the jalapeno peppers. There are stone fruits that need,
at some point we will, but that ain't coming in anytime soon.
And the stone fruits, for what I've heard from farmers, you need human hands to pick them up. Otherwise you destroy the peaches and the berries and the strawberries specific that we love to have in the morning. The average American, this is good for the average American guy who's going to be able to have vegetables and fruits and a hotel room when they go on a business trip that is going to be cheap, affordable, and clean. Yep. It's evident what we're doing. So those people are here. Let them stay. Let them pay for their crimes. Don't give them path to citizenship. Don't give them any type of federal programs. Allow them to go home for Christmas, buy a home, buy a credit card, be able to buy a car. Yeah. And then the economy, consumerism is going to go up through the roof. And we're going to continue having the best military in the world.
Okay, so one of my producers, Elias, has a question for you, Maria. Go ahead.
Please do.
Good afternoon, Congresswoman.
How are you?
Well, how are you?
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. So my question would be, how would your team essentially explain to all the Hispanics and immigrants that everything that you're proposing is in their best interest, that they won't, their work and their efforts won't be taken advantage of?
The Hispanic community, and that's why I'm one of the leaders of the largest minority in the country. I know that the Hispanic community overwhelmingly supports no path to citizenship and fining them $7,000 and giving and levying of 1% of their salary. I mean, this is a tough bill for those who are illegals and have been here for more than 7 years, but it doesn't matter because it allows them to continue working, making the $72,000 that Steve just explained, and they can go home at night safely, go home for Christmas, bury their mom, and be able to be part of the American exceptionality, period. Hispanics love it. And the good thing is that then Hispanics will see the GOP as the party that has embraced them, welcomes them, and shares the same values: God-fearing, law-abiding, tax-paying, family-oriented, small government. What are we doing as the GOP? We're pushing these people away with the voting card in their hands.
Mm-hmm.
That's my frustration.
So Maria, following up on that question, when polls have been done of Hispanics about why they voted for Donald Trump. And a very common answer is because they believe Donald Trump is the fighting for the working man and woman, and that he is going to create jobs for Americans, and that he will, he wants people to work hard. And now the concern is, well, wait a minute. Now all of a sudden the immigrant people, the ICE agents are coming to these communities and taking people out in handcuffs, even if they haven't committed any crime, even if they're not a criminal or some kind of danger to the public.
That is correct. And the underlying message, what you're just saying, is that the Hispanics voted for Trump because he's a strong figure. Because he represented a good economic scenario, but also because he shared the same values, this diversity, gender ideology, the wokeness. None of that belongs to the average Hispanic person in this country. And what you're telling me that everything that we heard from this democratic socialism sector within the Democratic Party, that pushed the Hispanics away from the Dems. Now they come, and for what I hear is we did not vote for this because the problem is that we are sending the message, the GOP, President Trump and everybody else in the GOP, that we are people that do not appreciate the Hispanics in this country. And that is very dangerous.
Yes.
Because we're pushing them away after we had them. We're pushing them away. And this is political suicide.
I agree. I've used that same term. And I know some people are probably Steve Moore and Maria Salazar want amnesty. They want the illegal immigrants. No, and by the way, we need to have job, programs where people can come into the country to fill some of these jobs. And it's very simple, folks. Just do the math. There is no way Republicans can win elections without the Hispanic vote, Maria. No way.
Well, look, right there. And, you're an economist. I'm delighted, honored that you understand the concept is national security. We need to know who our neighbor is. Mm-hmm. We need to clean out the bad hombres. Holman can definitely concentrate the BBB money that we gave, the $150 billion to secure the border. Then you concentrate the ICE agents looking for the Tren de Aragua, the MS-13, the rapists, the murderers. Concentrate on them and kick them out with no mercy. Of course, we don't have any problems, but we're not. That's not the directive. And so it's national security. Tell me.
We got another question from Zach. Zach is my producer, Maria.
Hi, Congresswoman Salazar. Thank you so much for joining the show. I just wanted to ask, I know we've talked about what to do with the historical illegals who've been here for over 6 years. And we've talked a little bit about securing the border. Those are two important components of the bill. I'm also thinking, what's the changes that the bill would outline for new arrivals, for temporary workers, perhaps, for people coming newly from Central America, South America, or the Caribbean?
It's a great question, Maria, because a lot of the Hispanics who come, they want to come in and do seasonal work here and then maybe go back to Mexico or go back to Guatemala, so this would facilitate commerce. They're not, a program where they could come in legally. We do have a seasonal worker program, but we need more visas for that as well.
That is correct, and that's the seasonal. We're making the seasonal into temporary because seasonal is only for a few months, but then what happens with the dairies that you need to milk the cows the whole year, not only picking up one specific crop. So we go seasonal to temporary, and that person, which I think is H2, I'm not sure. It's like
I think it's H2A. Yeah.
H2A. Okay. So then you increase that number, but at the same time, you have those who are now illegally that could be then temporary. Okay. That could be now for 7 years when they get the dignity status and they can fill some of those jobs. This, Steve, will change completely the landscape because you will see first and foremost how many people are here that are illegal, that have been here for more than 5 years and that do not have have not committed a crime. And then they come out, I give them 1 year because this is a one-shot deal. You are here. I give you 1 year to come out of the shadows. Say, I'm Pepe Perez. I live in Los Angeles. I have not committed a crime. Here's where I'm proving that I have been here for 17 years. And that person is now available to go work wherever because the E-Verify is mandatory.
Yeah. There you go.
So not voluntary, mandatory.
By the way, Maria, this, just to be clear, this would not just apply to Hispanics. It might apply to immigrants who came in from Africa or immigrants who came in from Asian countries
Ireland,
as well.
Everywhere.
Right?
But the overwhelming majority, 80% of the legal class is Central American and Mexican.
Oh, Central American. Okay.
That's reality. The overwhelming majority are either Mexicans or Guatemalans, Salvador, Honduras, people who can cross the border, who have been here for more than 5 years, and you have millions of those. And like I said, no path to citizenship. And you know what, Steve? They don't care. That was a creation of Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, of course it was.
Oh my God, we're going to give you pass because then you can vote for me. We're going to take that away.
Good. So it just makes an abundance of great sense, Maria. So thank you so much for what you're doing.
Thanks to you.
Last question for you before I let you go. And I know it's a Saturday afternoon before Christmas, but
no, I'm here.
Are you getting support from the White House? Are you getting support from other Republicans?
Well, I have a lot of support in the House of Representatives, the 223 members on the GOP side. The problem is that we're waiting for the President of the United States to lead the charge. Yes. And that's why I wrote a book for whomever is listening to me. You can get it on Amazon.
I forgot to mention your book. I just got it. What's it called again? The Dignity?
It's called The Dignity. Dignity, Not Citizenship. And you can go, Dignity, Not Citizenship. You can go to Amazon. You can download it. Very cheap. And I want you to know the truth about immigration that no one is telling you. This is dignity. This is not amnesty. Dignity is a biblical word that we as the United States, we can give to these people who have been here, have American children, have not committed a crime, and are helping us live better. Better in construction.
You know what, Maria?
And
when you ask people what's the first word that they think of when it comes to immigrants, they think hardworking, and they're amazing workers, and the immigrants work harder than native-born Americans.
You know why? Because they have a point of comparison. You said $72,000. Maybe for the average American, that is not that much. But for somebody who came from Honduras or from Guatemala, and they have the ability to live in the United States, work their asses off, like you said, picking up, stooping for 12 hours under the sun in California, but their children have a better future, and they are fine continue being from Honduras, but they want to live a dignified life. Everyone wants to be respected and live with dignity, and that's why it's the name of this legislation.
So, Maria, you and I have to go over to the Oval Office and meet with President Trump and make the case to him. I know Donald Trump. He's a rational guy. He loves Hispanics. He understands how important they are. I went to, when he was at his country club, I remember he would go out to see all the Hispanic workers, and he'd shake their hand and stuff. He loves people who are working hard. This is right up his alley. We're going to make this happen, Maria.
And I agree with you. That's why my book is dedicated to Donald Trump. And I said, sir, you're the only one who can make this happen. You can be for immigration what Lincoln was for slavery and what Reagan was for communism.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
It's your legacy. It's your legacy. So I'm glad. I thank you, Steve. I mean, you're a very influential guy. You helped him write in Trump #1 that tax law. And I deputize you. I mean, I'm working for the country. I'm working for the country. There's no better country than this one.
By the way, how many Hispanic Republicans are there in the House? You're one of them. How many are there?
We are. I would say 3, 4, 5. But you know,
we need like 20. We need like 25 Hispanic Republicans in the House. We need to win those Hispanic districts.
Of course. It's so easy for us to just bring them. He proved it. Donald Trump proved that he can bring the Hispanics. 55% of the male Hispanics for the first time in history voted for Trump. And unfortunately, we have lost them all.
We got to go, Maria, but it's been a wonderful conversation with you. Folks, this brings us to the end of the show. I'm so pleased to be with you all and we're going to do the show, by the way, next year, of course. And I hope you have a wonderful, holy and happy holiday season. Of course. I'm going to be pre-recording the show next week, but we'll be back live in early January. This is the More Money Show, and just been a great pleasure to be with you every week this past year.
Thanks for listening to More Money with Steve Moore. You can hear More Money with Steve Moore Saturday afternoons at 1. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder, what the heck is going on here?
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Hey, Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. You know, one of the perks about having 4 kids that you know about is actually getting a direct line to the big man up north. Mm-hmm. And this year, he wants you to know the best gift that you can give someone is the gift of Mint Mobile's unlimited wireless for $15 a month. Now, you don't even need to wrap it. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.